We're on Twitch.
Sponsored by Antonio's Pizza.
Yeah. And Essentia water.
Overachieving H2O.
Yeah.
That's what it says.
Exactly.
That
Oh,
is
geez.
dumb.
That's pretty toxic.
It's just water.
Yeah, it's just fucking water.
It's got
with a higher
electrolytes,
pH.
man.
Is
Gotta
that,
stay hydrated
For
on
takes.
these hot summer nights.
is that what makes it overachieving and not
Mhm.
just simply polluted water?
Exactly.
It's dirty.
It's got essential minerals.
Mm-hmm.
They use a proprietary ionization process.
Oh, shit. Can't get those ions anywhere
Turns
else.
water from any source into supercharged ionized alkaline water.
What about my pee? What if I just pissed in that bottle?
Yep.
Those ions would just be like, we're going to make this beautiful water.
P-Sentia. It's a new product coming out. Drink the piss.
Overachieving piss.
Delicious. Refreshing.
I don't know why they sponsored us. All we did was just make fun of them. They're going to want their money back.
I have this delicious Aquafina, which is like the Lucky Strikes of water.
My grandfather smoked Lucky Strikes.
Oh, yeah.
Filterless, no less.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a man's cigarette, Dave.
Yeah, who do I know? One relative of mine smoked filterless Luckies, and I can't remember who right now. My grandpa didn't rock those. I think he was fucking with menthol too, which is weird. Weird in hindsight.
My grandparents were Newport.
Hmm.
That's what I remember as a kid. And my grandmother had like a cigarette case that was like puffy, and like you pulled up at the top and then you put like a pack as is. It's not like a fancy cigarette case where you take out the cigarettes and you put them in.
Oh, I
It's
know what
very-
you mean.
It's just
My aunt had that as well.
yeah. You
It
just
looked like a change purse,
yes.
but it's for
Oh, yeah.
cigarettes. Yeah.
Yes.
Back when smoking used to be stylish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Used to.
Yeah. Or if you had like a cigarette holder, that was a cool look.
I definitely rocked that for a little while.
Did you really?
At the goth club for sure.
Nice.
Holding my clove cigarettes in a black onyx cigarette holder
That is one of the gothier sentences I've ever heard.
and a vintage cigarette case.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's unfuckwithable. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
It's weird because now I see people smoking and I just look at it like, ooh, pricey. You know? Like,
Yeah,
damn, those are like
seriously.
$10 a pack.
Like, ooh,
you're doing all right
Really-
for yourself.
you're really dedicated to getting that
Right.
cancer.
Yeah, it's been, I don't think I've had a cigarette in like a decade or 11 years or something like that.
The high prices have really weeded out the smoking plebs.
Right.
Only the elite
Get them on the vapes.
stay on it these
Yeah.
days. Yeah.
Those little gross little trash cans they put in their mouth.
Sucking on that robot dick.
Hit this-
Be a man, get a lucky strike.
It's a weed vape. Don't worry, folks.
Somehow not a robot trash can.
Yeah, no, it kind of is.
How the fuck did we get down this path?
That was
of
the water.
conversation?
Yeah, that was Aquafina.
Just talking about
Yeah.
water. And this
We
is where we end up.
we definitely lost our Aquafina sponsorship.
Yeah.
This is
Damn
not
it.
where they expected
Always
us
blowing
to
our
go.
sponsorship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lasted like 5 minutes. They already texted us.
Yeah. Episode 36.
Is that what we're on?
We're here.
Woo-hoo.
36.
Yep.
I trust you with
36
these numbers.
chambers.
I try to keep track.
36 chambers of Eurorack.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang.
Shout out to Signal Sounds for the sponsorship for the free Effects Aid Pro. It's pretty dope. You know, they fucked up and sent it to me by accident.
I think that's as close as we've gotten to getting
Yeah.
free promotional material so
Yeah.
far.
Didn't we get
A
close
mailing
before?
error.
A mailing error in your
We've
favor.
made it, boys.
Please send us your prototypes
By accident.
by accident.
And then
This is
ask us
Andrew
to pay money to
Huang?
ship it back.
Yeah, and ask us to pay money. That is what I will not do.
Yeah.
Do not get that back unless UPS comes to my house very politely. Sorry.
And even then, like, have you thought about putting like a module that you're not interested in the box and sending that back and go, oh, this is just what it came
Just
in.
put in a brick.
Yeah. That's what I do with routers. I've told you my router trick, right?
Oh,
I've
yeah.
only bought one router in the 90s. And then I get a Netgear router, take my old one, put it in that box, and then return it. They used to at least look at it,
Hmm.
open it up and go, yeah, this is a Netgear router. And they would accept the return. Last time I did it, I went through the trouble of basically putting my old shitty router into this box and returning it. They didn't even fucking open it. Like, it could have been empty.
They don't care.
Yeah, so
That's what I used to do with my graphics cards.
Yeah.
With Best Buy.
Oh yeah.
Every 2 years, I'd go get like the new EVGA, throw in the old one. The one time I even went through all the trouble of removing the heat sinks for the old one, the fans and the stickers so that it looked legit, put it all in the package. Yeah, same deal. They didn't even fucking look at it. It was like, come on, man. Like, made me feel like I'm getting away with it.
Exactly.
I knew somebody who did that with MPCs and Guitar Center, but it was actually a broken MPC 1000, or they might have broken or something like that, and they just like swapped the guts out, sent it back, put the fresh MPC inside.
Nice.
It worked.
Yeah. Good for them. Fuck all these corporations.
I can't really do it anymore. The graphic cards are so fucking ridiculous now. Like,
No.
Yeah.
they're the size of a computer, and can't just do the old swap of the heatsink now.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
they're like in a solid chunk of metal.
Yeah. I mean, they're basically small little computers in and of themselves at this
Totally.
point. Yeah.
With the recent like crypto crash, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
They're coming down in price.
Yeah.
And available for a long time.
Yeah.
You just couldn't get them because crypto was just buying all that shit up.
I love all the farms like trying to sell like totally like nasty,
Burned out
ones.
cards, yeah.
Sell, here, $10. It's like, dude, that is not gonna do any more Bitcoin mining.
It's only been 2 months since the last episode.
Really?
Only been 2 months.
I
It feels like a fucking
Feels
year.
like a
It does,
Yeah.
yeah. we were gonna record earlier, but it's my fault. I will accept the blame for the delay in this one.
Summer lag.
Summer lag? You're just like
Yeah,
just
we always
generically summer.
Yeah,
That's true. It's
we always
hot.
kind of take a little more time, I think.
We got these summer flings. We got to go on a lot of dates
Yeah.
at the sock hop.
Yeah, I try to keep track of some of the stuff that has occurred
Hmm.
since last episode and now.
Oh,
Do you have a timeline?
It's
damn.
I didn't go as far as making a
He's got
timeline,
a
but
timeline.
we lost some great names
Oh, yes.
Oh, this
over
is
the last
true.
2 months. We lost Vangelis, Dave Smith, Andy Fletcher, and Massimo Morante.
Didn't we also lose Klaus Schultz?
Schultz.
Did we?
Yep.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
R.I.P. to all of them.
R.I.P. to all. Crazy.
Yeah, it's
Heavy 2 months.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really has been.
It wasn't a death, but Immutable Instruments announced that they are discontinuing all production, not just making new stuff. That really bummed me out to hear. She didn't announce why, but I think we can all probably figure out some of the elements that led to that decision.
Still a bummer.
Companies abusing her open source model.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Oh, Superbooth and Summer NAMM both happened
Yes.
in the last 2 months.
I have notes on things that I saw at Superbooth.
Okay. I
Um,
think NAMM was just a regurgitation
I
of
think so,
most of
too.
that.
Yeah.
I
So
don't think much came out during NAMM that I remember.
I mean, is there more on your timeline?
no, I just jotted down some of the stuff that also caught my eye from both Superbooth and NAMM following that. So yeah, we can just dip into that shit.
That works for me.
Hell yeah.
I mean, who wants to start?
You
Me?
you said
So,
you had a
oh,
Superbooth
yeah.
list.
I don't have much super booths.
Before we get going, do you want me to just rifle through my list or do one and round robin?
Yeah, we can round robin.
All right, let's round robin this. Now I don't know which one to start with. I want to start with this one. The Soma Terra.
I totally missed that.
I totally
What is
missed this too. Is it the looper?
No, this is the weird wood instrument.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Is it made of wood?
what
That's
was
pretty-
that terrifying
that's pretty
voice you just did?
That's
It's from
Full House, dude.
yeah.
Come on, Dave. It's the woodchuck guy.
fucking Joey.
Yeah, why can't I remember his
Bible
name?
Man.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
That's Bible Man?
Was he
Yeah.
oddly religious too?
Yeah.
in that? I
That's
don't
Bible
remember
Man?
Yeah, wait. Not John Stamos.
Not
Yeah.
John Stamos.
The other brother,
the
the other
goofy
uncle.
dude.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Bible Man.
Really?
Yeah. That like
I did
this
not
like
know that.
like
Really?
absurd. We're gonna have to fact check this because I don't want to be wrong, but I'm like 99.5% sure.
Oh, we don't need a fact check.
Hello, listeners. Dave here. I'm interrupting our broadcast to let you know that I was wrong. Bible Man is Willie Ames, who played Buddy Lembeck, the goofy best friend of the titular Charles in Charles in Charge. The goofy Uncle Joey in Full House was played by Dave Coulier, who briefly dated Canadian singer-songwriter Alanis Morissette. It is believed by some that she wrote the top 10 smash hit single, You Oughta Know About Him. We now return to our regularly scheduled broadcast, already in progress.
That's how we roll here. We don't verify shit.
Yeah, facts be damned.
From now on, he's Bible Man.
He's Bible Man. But no, it's so its main sort of like presentation is it's a chunk of wood and it's got a lot of body contacts and a couple of knobs that affect different parameters. And so,
but what is it?
It is
like
a synth.
Okay.
It is a synth. It is a full voice synth.
Kind of like the Lyra, but made of wood, or what?
That's a really good question.
Okay.
Because a lot of the videos I saw were basically just people showing it off and showing like there's a big sort of set of body contacts that sort of line up with as you would sort of ergonomically place your hand on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then sort of beside them are these smaller body contacts that are modifiers on that. Almost, it kind of reminded me a little bit of like an accordion where you would have like notes and then you would have these sort of like modifiers to them. So they're typically pitch, but if you press another body contact and hit it, it becomes an argument for a parameter. All digital, polyphonic, crazy like effects and reverb and super these sort of like lush sounds were coming out of it. And yeah, the whole thing is encased in basically like a cross section, like a slice of a tree. Like you can see like the bark on the outside of it. Like it looks like an end table.
I didn't notice that. That's cool.
It was I mean there's a gimmick element obviously of it being in this wood thing, but the sounds maybe not necessarily for me, but it kind of maybe an apt analogy is a sort of cross between like Foltech and the other Soma, the pipe. But it caught my eye, and I couldn't see anything about price. But yeah, I thought that was a standout weird instrument. And I think it's continuing with the Soma just bonkers approach to everything they do, which I'm here for. I'm here for. I'm all in favor of it.
Didn't even know they had something new coming up. Yeah. Last I saw, they had like MIDI looper sequencer.
Yeah,
like
I think it's audio looper. Is it MIDI looper?
I thought it was a sequence looper, but I could be wrong.
I don't
know.
It's audio because it does something where it like changes it constantly. I don't know.
It didn't really catch my attention, so I didn't look too far into it.
Here.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if it was housed in a chunk of wood or a piece of granite or quartz. If it was in quartz, maybe.
If it was quartz, I would buy it, whatever the hell it was.
I mean, he usually has interesting stuff, so I could see like normally like it's gonna be worth it. You know,
exactly. Even without the novelty of it being in wood, it probably would have caught my eye just for how the weird sounds they were doing, the way they were performing with it, seemed like an interesting take on it.
When did it say it was gonna come out, or like?
No, I got nothing as far as release dates or price or availability or it seemed like they were very focused on all the videos I saw were just presenting the idea. So I have no other information outside of that other than I'll keep an eye on it, and if it's reasonably priced, I might give it a shot.
It seemed to be kind of a common vibe with Superbooth this year. A lot of people didn't really have a timeline or even a definitive price for a lot of stuff they were showing off. It was more just showing off proof of concept stuff, I've noticed.
The only thing I have a definitive price on, and it's a lot, is the Erica Syntrix 2.
That was on my first list, or the first on my list.
That's what I was between.
Erica stuff, yeah.
I was between that and the Terra, but 1,800 euros.
And to say I have a higher price than that, but yeah, if you're saying euros, and that's probably why my number.
Oh yeah, this was from Gertz while it was one of the videos where he was like, it's 1,800 euros. I was like, not surprised. It does a lot, but that was literally the only thing I saw a price attached to it.
More than the last one?
Do you know? Less.
It is less.
That's what I wrote in my notes, at least, if I recalled. I don't remember the exact number of the original Syntrax, but I swear it was over 3,000.
I thought it was 3,200.
Oh, really? Yeah,
I think it was 3,200 for the
this
original.
Is like
500.
Yeah, this is like $1,000 less. It comes in at $2,179 USD.
Would you like to talk about that, Greg?
Sure, I jotted some notes down. Well, I jotted some notes down about Erica's announcements overall.
Yeah.
The first one that really caught my eye was the LXR02 Euro module.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed the LXR quite a few times in previous episodes.
Both of them. We really, we
both
deep dive
versions.
in-
Yeah, and we're all fans of it in all its various forms, and this is kind of a cool surprise. Not something I saw coming. Ooh, that sounds refreshing.
It is. It's funny you say that.
So.
Yeah, of course. It's funny, Greg, because this is the Arsenal Picket Bone Dry, which is
really
what
dry stuff.
This is the stuff that you have gotten for me in the past and hated it.
Yeah.
I think I remember you taking a sip of it.
In
a cabin
at the cabin, and I was just like, "How is this?" It's like drinking sand.
I think you said it made you more thirsty than when you started drinking it.
It did.
Was your review of this?
It
cider.
made my mouth drier.
It's delicious.
Like, how is that even physically possible?
But you heard that fizzing.
I did hear
That's
the
a
fizz.
damn good fizz.
It's good
But
fizz.
yeah, not my cup of tea. But yeah, LXR module.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It's super compact. Like, I've been trying to get away from doing drums in modular again.
Not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah. This kind of wants me to, just kind of pulling me back in that direction a little bit. This would be in my opinion, like a really good heart of a modular drum system.
Yeah.
It's only like $500. It has 7 trigger ends, 6 accent ends, 5 CV inputs, and 4 audio outputs. So it's not just, you're not just triggering static sounds.
5 CV inputs.
Yeah.
Oh, did not pick that up.
Yep. That's kind of what piqued my interest too. I was like, that is cool. Because that's something that I've always felt the LXR lack. Like, I use the onboard LFOs and things
Well, I was going
like
to
that.
ask, does it still have the onboard modulation?
Yes, it's
Oh,
still
that's
the
amazing.
same engine.
So $500, it's actually cheaper than the standalone.
It is.
LXR
because
too.
you don't have all the
Power.
You don't have the power. You don't have the sequencer.
sequencer.
Yeah.
So you will have to spend money to sequence this thing,
Mm-hmm.
which I think Erica's smart
Yeah.
picking this up because it looks like it would be perfect to pair up with the Erica drum sequencer.
Absolutely.
It's not the strong point of the LXR either. The sequencing.
No, like I
you know?
always enjoyed the micro steps.
Yeah,
but
totally.
yeah, if you're doing it all in Euro anyways, you have a lot of options for that sort of thing already.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's pretty appealing. I feel like that was their strongest release, and I think that is available now. There was places that were offering it for sale. Everything else that they were talking about, the Centrex and the Perkins, all pre-order still. I don't entirely know the differences between Centrex 1 and 2. I tried looking it up. It was a little confusing to me because
sonically it sounded pretty similar, but I also, this was YouTube videos and I've not actually experienced either of them live. But what the demos I was seeing of the Centrex 2 had that same sort of like 70s noise freak out vibe. But I mean, it must be different somehow if it's significantly
cheaper.
cheaper, and they bothered to make a new version of it. They could have just kept going with the original rev.
Yeah, and they're not like clear about the delta between the two either. Like,
No.
what's the $1,000? Why should I get this one still?
Right.
They're like, is this the new one that I will be able to buy? You know?
Comes in black this time.
It does.
Yeah, it does look cool. It's a little smaller too, something a little more compact.
Oh, was it?
I'm not sure.
It looked pretty big. I mean, they both look pretty big. It's a big. And they both had a joystick.
Joystick, matrix mode. Yeah, very
It looks very similar.
synthy inspired.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was very clear where they were taking inspiration from.
But I remember listening to the demos of the first one, and first being completely turned off by the price, and then secondly by how much it didn't sound like a synthy to my ears.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, so I was just kind of like, no. So I just kind of dropped it off my radar.
No speakers, no spring reverb.
Oh,
They
no
took
spring
those
reverb.
out. More effects and sequencing options.
Mhm.
Well, I don't think that would drop the price by $1,000 for the spring verb.
The other one's
Yeah.
3,000.
Was it
the
an
new
actual
one's
spring verb? I thought it was a
21.79.
digital. Or am I thinking of
Yeah,
the...
it's a real deal.
Okay.
I mean, it still doesn't explain the $1,000, but yeah.
Maybe they listened to us bitching about the
They
price
could
over
have.
time.
Yeah, it seems likely.
Want that Perkins light?
We have that much influence.
I mean, I had another thing in my Erica Synths list.
The
Do it up.
Perkins?
No. Actually, it's it's kind of a deviation from probably what we would normally talk about. I was really impressed with the updates to the EDU series.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah, and it's a partnership with Moritz Klein, and it's entry-level DIY modules. Super easy to build, it's designed to help you sort of get your feet wet with synthesis and understanding it. And they added what they were showing at Superbooth at least, they were adding a sequencer to it, all DIY, all super cheap, easy to make.
Yeah, I almost got that one.
I think it's awesome that they're doing that, like to really sort of like break down that barrier of this being somewhat an obtuse thought. It's thought to be a somewhat obtuse and difficult thing to get into, and it's kind of breaking that down a little bit and going like, here, no, this is how you get started with it. It doesn't have to be this huge financial investment, and here's the primitives you need to get going.
Yeah, and actually how the circuit works, and they walk you through that, which nobody have built a bunch of modules, and I don't know how any of them work like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah,
it's like a fucking really simple module.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to give them a little bonus shout out for trying to pass on education and make this a little bit easier to get into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I almost got the sequencer for that reason. I was like, oh no, and it's cool. Like I still might someday, but I was like, I don't need to go down the project of learning how a sequencer works at a basic electronic level right now. I just want more time to use it.
But it's cool that it's available. Like So I wanted to give them a little bit of a nod for adding that to their lineup. But yeah, the Perkins I think probably needs to be discussed at greater length.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's much to really discuss still. They basically just announced it's open for pre-orders finally.
Right. And we did talk about it from the original preview in the last episode. Yeah.
And that's the thing, it's been like a year now at least, I think.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And we still don't have a whole lot of more information other than it's going to cost, at least the pre-orders cost, $20.59 USD. That's might go up even more after pre-order phase. Not sure.
That's really expensive.
It's expensive.
It's really cool, but yeah,
it's a full-blown drum machine with sequencer and CV abilities. Like in 2020, I feel like $2,000 for a fully fledged drum machine. It's kind of fair. I mean, I remember paying that type of money for a Tempest years ago. You know what I mean? But
Rhythm's like $1,800 or something like that.
I think more.
Is it?
Yeah, because I was looking at them in comparison to the new one, the Syntrack.
I thought they were $1,500 because I remember Sears almost buying one.
They're more than double a Syntrack.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I think they're like $2,100.
Damn.
20 might even be $2,300. I don't know why that number's popping in my brain, but a Syntrack is like $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because I was like, why would someone want to get this Syntrack and not just get a Rhythm? And then I saw it because it's literally like twice the price.
Shit, that's
$1,700 for Rhythm Mark II.
Really? Okay, I thought it was more. I don't know what I'm thinking of then.
So shit's just expensive is what this is coming
Should
down
be
to.
pricey.
Yeah, I need to stop being shocked at sticker prices.
Yeah. Well, Erica, I'll give them props. Like they don't seem like their prices seem consistent.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
In fact, like in the case of the Syntrack, Syntrack? Am I getting names confused now in my brain?
Yeah, Syntrax. It's
Syntrax.
S-Y-N.
So what the hell is the new Electron box?
Oh, Syntax.
Syntax. Sorry, yes. That's what I was trying to say before in comparison to the Rhythm. Yeah.
I don't have Syntact on my list if we want to talk about it.
I don't either.
Me either. I could do an episode without talking about Electron for once. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what about Electron Corner? It's going to be dusty and alone. And
we just did mention them, and this is the Electron Corner, and that's it.
That's it.
Perfect.
That's it for the
Wrapped it up.
Case dismissed.
Short and sweet.
Boom, boom.
What if that's the thing that we get fucking sued and taken down for?
Yes.
Of all the shit we do.
But on the Gears section of the Erica corner, holy shit, that black sequencer, so close to being good. You shouldn't have software for something that means you can't fucking mute the channels reliably. Like you've deeply fucked up if it doesn't mute correctly. That's all I can say about that.
That's a bummer because I know you were excited about it.
It was cool. But yeah, there are a few things about it. I was just like, I can't roll with this. I don't know if you need 16 knobs to be able to twist to on a sequencer, honestly. I'm down for holding a step and turning one knob over and over. I think it didn't really pan out in that way.
Yeah.
Lots of cool features. UI was perfect, but like the basics have to work or you need like an emergency release to like get muting to fucking work. Like it doesn't, and people are like, yeah, it's been like that for 6 months. It's like, God damn.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy that. Fuck you.
I had similar gripes with the drum sequencer back in the day.
Oh, yeah?
Similar situations, yeah. I remember encountering little things like that. But I think the firmware for that has at least been updated since.
Right.
It's a lot in much better state.
I don't know how you can't just like even hack it to be like, oh, give up, just make it so that output channel is at 0 fucking volts.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. I know software isn't as easy as people like to imagine it is. And there's probably a reason that doesn't make sense, but holy shit. It's just muting a fucking channel. That and the way the panel was arranged was a little weird. It was like someone laid it out on Photoshop and hadn't really like used it and figured out where things should kind of be, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those gripes.
It's not a gripe.
No, it's legit. Yeah.
You're a sequencer guru.
I'm addicted to them.
We need to hire you.
Nick is our go-to sequencer. What's the word? Like,
I'm curious where you're going with this.
Oh.
like if I ever have a question,
Like Oracle?
Oracle, yeah, you're
Sequencer
like
Oracle.
the sequencer Oracle.
Oh,
You like tried them all. You know
I've
them all.
tried many of
Yeah.
them.
I suck with sequencing.
Oh, yeah. No,
I'm
you,
terrible.
what you described
That's
to
why
me
I
in
hate
BCB
sequencers. Are
is
the bane of my
impressive.
existence. Like,
I do love them. There's something just really fucking appealing to me about a sequencer. It's like fucking, it's something really weird. I don't know. Ever since that machine drum, it like broke me kind of.
I feel this is foreshadowing for us talking about the Polyend play at some point
that's
in this
the
episode.
bottom
yeah.
of my list. I
Gotcha.
figure we'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing, though.
yeah.
The third act
Little
is going to come back. Chekhov's sequencer has to come back in the third act.
Well, there's something I wanted to mention. I don't know why I didn't have it at the top because it's. I'm personally really excited.
What?
Super excited. Endorphins announced
Oh, God.
yet another module that probably won't work right, have a bad noise floor, or rather have a terrible noise floor, but it has Andrew Wang's name
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
on the panel.
The trying to do everything module.
Yeah.
very like
It's
It's
sparse
called
panel.
Ghost, which is
Yeah.
appropriate because it's fucking dead on arrival, in my opinion.
Oh, take that.
Really clean panel though, like not much going on.
Are you?
No, I'm
Okay.
totally sarcastic.
I was gonna
It's absolutely packed with fucking text.
I
weird.
glanced at it and I was like, I don't even know what this thing's supposed to fucking do.
I watched a video. I gave it a fair shot.
I always give Endorphins a fair shot,
Yeah.
and everything that I've tried by them
This is-
makes fucking weird noises that it shouldn't make.
Yes.
It doesn't work properly. Things are like backwards. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they have some serious quality control,
Oh, yeah.
and the fact that like they've released so many products over the last year or two, haven't nailed those down, but now they're doing collaborations with influencers.
Yeah.
I think just kind of really goes to show the direction that they're going, and that's just marketing and cranking shit out, regardless if it's actually like functional.
And this
think
thing
so.
seems completely directionless. It's just like, well, what if we just add this on top of it, and this, and this, and this? For what it's trying to do, it's packing far too much into a single module, and I don't get a strong sense that it does any of the things on that list particularly well.
Yeah, because they're like 2 parameters for every effect.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing is like it's a multi-effect that does all these things, but like, do you really fucking want that? Especially if they got 2 parameters and it's gonna have like some 12-bit digital noise floor at like negative 50 decibels that's like there in all their gear. You know, that sampler was a fucking joke, by the way.
Supposedly they got it nailed down in some of the more recent versions of the Xaoc filter,
Oh yeah.
which
I
was
forgot
the most
about
recent
that.
one that I tried,
Yeah.
and it was
Oh, you did
noisy
try
and
that?
shit. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I returned it the next day.
Yeah. That's what I did with the sample player thing.
Yeah.
Returned like the next day.
And none of us bought that weird, what was it, Black Noir
No.
drum machine thing that they tried to do.
The weird 909
Yeah, that
Once I mean, we ripped that apart in a previous episode, if I recall. But yeah, once I saw that you couldn't even tune the kick
Yeah.
drum,
Yeah. It's
like, well, I mean, you can, but not easily.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, you gotta be
What a
fucking kidding me.
mess.
And their excuse for that was, well, the kick isn't something that you're going to be changing a lot. And I was just like, that is the
Good day, sir.
fucking thing. Like, if you're
Yeah.
buying something that is based on a 909, and it's a module, like, you should have like an entire panel dedicated to the fucking kick. Like,
Yeah.
otherwise,
it's funny because one of the other things on my list is a kick drum module that has a ton of modulation and parameters. It's just a kick module. So it's someone who's like basically like, well, that's not right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you need to have a ton of control, and it needs to morph over time. It needs to morph per step. Like, we want interesting kick drums.
Yeah.
That was the opposite of that.
Yeah.
What a huge miss.
They scaled down your ability to just tune the kick, but added dumb shit like cabin pressure and things like that. I'm like,
Yeah, that's
really? That's how you get that dark techno sound. Like, is it? Really? One would think maybe down tuning your kick might have a part of that sound too, but what do I know?
Well, we got a trimmer behind the thing if you really need to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andrew Huang's. I never know if I'm pronouncing his name
I think that-
properly.
I think you're right. I think
he's-
I think I've heard him say it that.
He says it at the start of every episode.
Yeah.
He gives himself a high five and then makes sure to say his name to himself. But for some reason, I don't remember.
I've always skipped
how he
over
says
that.
it.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually skip forward too. I'm just like, okay, let's get to
didn't
the
even know-
meat of this,
Didn't know that
whatever
was
this
a
video
thing.
is. And I always make sure to skip over his rap sessions as well.
That's it. Ooh,
Oh yeah.
listen to
Oh
that.
no, I listened to
There was a
I
rough
listened-
one recently.
No, I listened to all of them because it is beautiful torture.
Mm.
It is really exquisitely bad.
I remember him singing to like a crystal dog or something in one video on a moon.
I mean,
Oh, I
that's
didn't
kind of
see-
cool. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I got
And
that.
I was like, it's like, what the fuck am I watching right now? I'll stick to my Div Kid videos, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just really down to the point
I'm gonna get stuck in.
technical overviews. Yeah. Let's get stuck in.
Yeah.
Let's stay the fuck off the moon and let's get stuck in.
So yeah, I'm not. I don't even have that that collab module on my list. I
I put it on there because like it just kind of I remember scrolling through like the day's announcements at the time and just seeing that and I was like, what in the fuck is this? I was like,
What's
I
a new
have
level
to
of
make a note
hell?
of this.
You could always like see that email. Well, what do you want to do for a module? It's like, oh, I've got all these ideas. Let's do all
So I'm
of them.
thinking like a compressor, but a filter, and maybe a delay. Or is there even a delay?
I don't-
think
Maybe
I
there's
forget.
Delay,
I think-
reverb,
yeah.
distortion. I don't even know. Filter might be the one thing that's not on there. It's like everything else.
I don't know. It didn't seem very innovative. It seemed very big.
Is it stereo?
I think I saw a stereo in and out. Like this is how much attention I pay to it. You know what I mean? Like I just and I love my weird effects processors,
Mhm.
but I
Yeah.
scroll through that and I just knew off the bat it would probably sound like shit, not work correctly, have a high noise floor, and it has an influencer's name pasted right on it. Like why the
Yeah.
who asked for that?
That's a bit much.
So fast forward 3 months from now when one of us
When I
gets
have
it.
12 of
yeah,
them.
exactly.
12 of them.
Oh my god, I was totally wrong. Sorry, listeners.
It is stereo. Compressor, volume,
Yeah.
tone, distortion, sidechain, delay, reverb, filter.
With no parameters over any of those
Oh, yeah.
circuits.
Barely anything. And it's a real fucking mess.
Yeah.
But that was an intro to a joke that I was making. I actually did have
Sorry.
no.
Oh.
I'm glad we all rolled with it.
Yeah, do you need to set us back up?
I thought I could actually get you guys going for a minute
Yeah.
with it, but you guys like knew immediately as soon as I said endorphins. that There's no way I was being serious. So, but yeah, there was an effects unit that did really catch my eye. That did seem kind of cool. Company called Finegear, which I was
Never heard of.
completely unfamiliar with. Apparently, they made some weird like spring verb lo-fi box thing.
Mhm.
And now they have a new one. It's a tape delay, sort of.
Really? Like,
With
Yeah.
actual
real
tape?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. You can see the tape in the front. I think you can physically access the playheads, but the tape itself is behind like a clear, looks like plastic or something,
yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's an actual tape, actual analog. It's a multi-effects unit though. It's not just a tape delay. It's why am I drawing a blank on the name? Oh, the Dirt Magnet is what they're calling it.
Oh.
So it has the tape
Is
delay.
it a standalone or is it a module?
Standalone.
Okay.
But semi-modular,
Ooh.
which is what really caught my eye.
Okay, cool.
Everything on it has like CV parameters, including the tape drive itself. You can trigger
Oh, like change the speed of the playback tape. Oh,
via CV.
That's cool.
You can CV the speed, the regen, and the panning of the actual motor.
Mm-hmm.
And also there's a
Wow.
gate input, which I think starts and stops the play. Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. So that caught my eye right off the bat. But then it goes through a MS-20 based filter, a ring mod, a crackle circuit, and a noise source circuit, and has 2 digital syncable LFOs. All of these circuits are CVable, and the whole thing is stereo through and through.
This sounds like something out of a fever dream I had.
Yes.
That
Yes.
sounds fucking amazing.
It looked amazing. I was like, I'm kind of really into this.
Yeah.
How big is it?
It's big.
Okay. It would
It's,
have to be.
yeah, it's not tiny. It looks like the size of maybe like a Soma Labs Pulsar, maybe even bigger. Like it's just a
Okay.
big square. You know what I mean? It's like this big wooden thing. Definitely a desktop unit. But yeah, semi-modular with all of it.
Not to derail, but you remember that vaporware like cassette delay module that was also huge?
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that
I
went
remember
through like it's still people are probably trying to get their money from it. Like it looked amazing.
Yeah.
It's like CV control over most of what you mentioned,
Yeah.
like this cassette based module that was like
Oh, the
huge.
module? Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I think only 5 ever came out
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
If that.
I saw one
Yeah.
pop up used once on
Really?
on the Wiggler. Yeah, and I was like,
Damn.
whoa, someone actually had one of these. Yeah, I
So
forget.
similar in size to that, maybe. Or like
No, it's like kind of flat in a square. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like definitely looks more like a Pulsar type of design. You
is
know
it a
what I mean?
module? Or is
No.
it- oh, okay.
No.
okay.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
bad.
It's semi-modular though. Like
Gotcha.
it has CV inputs.
Is there
for
any kind of
everything.
ETA on this? Because I kind of want one now.
So
Is it now?
No,
Greg, is it now?
it's not.
What about now?
Finegear announced that they're
It's not.
aiming for it to be done by the end of summer. They're having some mechanical speed stability issues that they're still ironing out, and they estimate it'll be around €1,000. So
That's a lot,
kind of
but-
That's about
pricey.
right.
Yeah,
That even though just 10 minutes ago I was complaining about price, I'd be willing to spend that much for something bonkers like that. That sounds really
Yeah,
cool.
If they can deliver that, that's
Yeah.
probably
and
pretty
it's
fucking
stereo
cool.
and it's CVable, and you're getting like multiple effects in it. So yeah, it's steep.
It also feels like
But-
you're kind of buying a pinball machine where like
Yeah.
you're about to like get in a lot of mechanical problems.
Let me just pull up a picture for y'all.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is not
Even
gonna
though our
help.
listeners cannot
I'll just grab it.
visualize. Yeah, let me. Finegear Dirt Magnet.
Wow, Greg. That fingernail polish.
It's pretty bad.
What the fuck?
It's been a month.
You knew you were having guests.
Dude, my hair is a mess today. My fingernail polish is a fucking mess. Just deal with it. Deal with it. So there's a picture of the tape compartment itself.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
That gives you a better sense of like how it looks.
Yeah,
Nice.
and the scale, that is pretty big.
Damn.
That looks awesome.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
fuck.
controls.
And of course a preamp also
Oh,
going
right.
into the tape.
Yeah.
So I imagine you can get some pretty good saturation out of it. I hope.
I would
They-
imagine, yeah.
They didn't really have any sound demos because of the complications that they were working through. This
Mhm.
is more just a prototype show off. But yeah, I for one am excited to hear how it actually sounds.
What's the company again?
Finegear.
Finegear.
Yeah, never heard of them before. But they have my attention now.
So, what else have they made now that I'm interested in them? What else did they make that?
There was something else of similar size and shape. It was called Dirt. It was Dirt something. But it was like similar thing, but instead of a tape delay, it was a spring verb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it totally caught me by surprise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was scrolling through shit like the Endorphin's Ghost and going, and then stumbled upon that, and I was like, oh,
I love the idea of just
so
having
what do we
that
have here.
that relationship between CV and sort of mechanical.
Yes.
Is really such a cool idea.
It's not the only thing that was debuted like that. Also, there was the motor synth
Oh, right.
Yeah,
that
Yeah,
was shown
yeah.
off too. I forget the name.
I forget
of
that
the
too.
brand,
Yeah.
but
Seemed short lived, or at least like
Yeah.
it had its blip and then was kind of gone.
Richard
well,
Devine
they
did a
were
couple-
hyping it up
Yeah.
at Superbooth again. Yeah, but
I think Richard Devine has one, and he's done a
yeah,
couple
he
things.
showed
with
it off recently.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
I knew I wouldn't be getting one. I was like, cool concept. I have no need for
Yeah.
it. So
A little too gimmicky. But yeah, they made the dust collector too. I remember that.
That's
the
it, dust collector.
spring
Yes, thank
reverb
you.
one. Yeah, I remember that because I remember like in the enclosure, I was like, oh, that looks nice. It's cool. It's nice to see someone do something very different like that. That was only $530.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So Finegear, if you're listening, or anyone out there got that connect, put in a good word for the SysEx Dumpster crew. We want to get our hands on it.
Even a broken one.
Even one that doesn't work right. We're cool with that.
Yeah. We'll put an asterisk beside our review.
Yeah. We'll do an in-depth review to our millions of listeners.
Millions.
Don't look into it, but we have a million.
Yeah.
There's millions of us.
Yes.
Pay no attention to the fact that all the IP addresses go to a Russian bot farm, but we have millions of views.
Millions. Nick, do you have anything for Superbooth?
No. Precious little from Superbooth. I will admit I didn't pay attention to it all that much.
Really?
Because I don't even think the FX8 Pro was like announced then. That was like
That was like a Ninja release.
Muff's Ninja release.
Yeah, it was a little bit after that.
Yeah. My list has a couple more things on it. I don't know if we want to get into them. We were talking about kick drums and parameters thereof. This was not something I was super excited about personally, but it was weird to see it pop up on a lot of people's lists, and people seem very excited about it. So I figured it was worth mentioning. The Nabula Kickane?
Cocaine.
Oh, yeah.
Kickane?
Cocaine.
There are kits for that too or something?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, that'd be cool if there was a
maybe
kit.
I'm looking at maybe I'm thinking of another kick drum one, but go ahead.
But 909 sounding, a lot of parameters and arguments. But what I thought was the most interesting about it and worthy of sort of talking about was it has a built-in sidechain compressor. And so you could take these sort of audio in.
They make the cinematic poly voice thing.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I know which one.
And the compressor itself has multiple options. They have sort of a normal one, and then these two spectral sidechain compression. So it's not just based on level. It does based on the spectrum of frequencies coming in. It'll do compression based on that. Honestly, the sounds didn't blow me away. It sounded a little what you would expect. I don't know. Maybe I'm just
Doesn't make Gabber kicks, Dave.
Kinda. It makes they're real clean. There's a snap or what's the word? Click argument.
Transient.
It was bassy. It honestly, that part was a little undercooked, I thought. At least from the demos that they were showing. For me, I would need, and I think all of us would probably want to process the shit out of it when it came out. But the idea of having a sort of built-in sidechain compressor in a drum
run
module
it through a ghost.
So you would run it through a ghost, yeah, and then that would make it sound.
Give it that Andrew Wang hip hop flavor.
Wow.
Holy shit! That's the next one, hip hop flavor. Oh god.
But I mean, I might give it another look when it's actually available.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I just thought was
What's
worthy
the ETA
mention.
on this?
Again, like you were sort of mentioning earlier, no ETA, no
Yeah.
price. I couldn't find anything about it.
Nebulous vaporware.
Exactly.
The theme of this year's Superboot.
That might be one of the themes.
Oh, I've got one actually.
Ooh.
It's not vaporware, but I
Uh-oh.
have, which is a Qu-bit Aurora,
Oh yeah,
which was announced at Superbooth. I just
Yes.
realized.
Very nice.
Yeah.
something I was extremely excited for and have yet to get.
Yeah, it's cool. I was maybe drunk when I purchased it on Apple Pay on my phone, which is really fucking evil. But yeah, it was announced at Superbooth, and it was kind of intended to be like a reverb type effect, which I would think that is not really getting.
And that's the one with the crazy light show.
Oh
yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. Like
Yeah.
if you like dark things with kind of psychedelic lights behind them,
Yeah.
like I think we all do. It's a gorgeous module on the rack, and it's even got this like amazing back panel that covers the electronics that is translucent partially, that has like this mountain scene that the LEDs shine through, and you get a little enamel pin of this graphic of this mountain scene too. It's like really like
Whoa.
That's cool.
a weird thing.
they got
Yeah,
ideas.
I'll pull it up and show it to you, but it's like executed very well. To be honest, at first I was like, it's a spectral vocoder basically that does like reverby type stuff, and that has like
Something I enjoy very much.
yeah, it has some abstracted controls
plugins.
like warp and like time, and time is kind of like decay a little bit, but it's more like I played with it has modes too. It has like different quality modes, which I didn't like any of the lower quality. I really liked the higher one and almost wished there was another one that was like even higher FFT window that was even more accurate or whatever you want to call it, but with less time. But it always adds like, if you use it sparingly, it adds this really nice, like kind of overtone quality to most sounds. You can find like kind of a sweet spot. And it kind of like, I can see why somebody would call it a reverb kind of effect, because you can get things that sound like a shimmer effect, like kind of these big sounds, but it's nothing like that sounds like a room or anything to me.
Sure.
And it really tight values, like shorter time values or whatever that upper right knob is, that kind of makes it less decay. It gets really interesting, and you can get some nice flavors on like percussion and stuff like that, which I'm sure you'd probably want to try
that
with
would be
it.
my main application.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So I really like it. At first, I was like too spectrally. I kept getting like that FFT sound. Like you remember DT BLK effects, that plugin, which
absolutely.
I really love actually, and I kind of wish like they actually brought it back and that it still didn't run very well. But there were moments of it that got flavors that I liked, like that, and there was like. The pitch knob, or like the knob at the top that changes like the pitch type artifact, can be like a bit too much sometimes, but it's definitely something where I like it. It's beautiful. I didn't know what I was kind of asking for when I got it, or I didn't have much expectation, but I'm always able to find like kind of an overtone, especially on like patty or like other type sounds that are longer duration, that I'm like, oh, it sounds better with that, or like can find something to layer on top of it that is a little more interesting and trippy to me. And it's full stereo. It's
nice.
It sounds really good. I haven't even touched the shift button yet, so everything behind the shift menu, the other knobs, I haven't even tried yet. So I'm still like kind of getting used to it, but I'm really enjoying.
So what are the modulation input parameters? Like what can you modulate? Oh, really?
Like most of I have the Qubit Chord too, the V2, and I actually like really fucking like that module a lot. And one thing they do is they always generally have CV over everything, and they always have like a shift button. You get control over the wet dry, which is awesome. Oh yeah, there's a reverse mode and a freeze mode. Really like freeze to be able to like catch these little kind of tones. It's kind of similar to like beads freeze in a way, where you're kind of like just like trapping this little bit of spectral energy or whatever, like clouds. But it sounds a little better, a little more hi-fi. It sounds very hi-fi in ways.
That's the main reason why I haven't bought one yet. Like I'm really curious about it, but I do have multiple monsoons currently that I use the spectral hidden mode with a lot. And I was like, do I need something else to do that, or literally
used the module and thought like, I wondered how you would like it, knowing how much you like the spectral shit in Clouds and Monsoon.
Love it.
Yeah, and like the reverse was very subtle, which I think is just like reversing the buffer. And then the interesting controls are reflect and atmosphere. And atmosphere is like a drastic change to whatever's going on in like the atmosphere. It's hard to describe. It's like the almost room you're in and like the flavor it has or something like that, or like what it is hard to describe some of these. That's why they're named like kind of weirdly. Blur was interesting too. It just kind of like smudges the FFT a little more. It's kind of like a filtering effect, but more just like smudgy FFT stuff, and it's cool. It's definitely not something I'd use all the time. It's not crucial at all, but I'm so far like really liking it. As far as it's very unique. Nothing that I've heard is like it, except maybe the Panharmonium, kind of, from some things I've heard, like kind of similar in principle, although very different in like application. Yeah, at first I got it and I was like, oh shit, I fucked up. This is too spectrally for me. But it was all about like toning it down a little and finding those sweet spots that were a little more subtle. I think this is one effect that like I probably wouldn't keep it 100% wet or like that wet ever.
Right.
More of just like kind of a shadow behind things. A ghost, if you will.
Brought to you by Andrew Wang.
But yeah, it's cool.
Nice.
I don't know how I'll feel about it in 6 months.
Yeah.
It's one of those things too where it's like, oh, maybe I just don't want this anymore.
Well, if you get bored of it,
we'll do.
I'll take it off your hands
and
give it a shot. Put it through its pace.
It didn't look like it was taking up a lot of space. It looked like one of their tidier modules.
It's not too big. I think it was like 12 or 14.
Right. I mean, they have some big guys.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that like you're getting a lot of interesting stuff out of it without having to dip into like, the shift menu and shit like that. That's one thing that bothered me a lot about Databender. Like I liked Databender conceptually, but I kind of wish it was bigger and didn't have
Yeah.
all these different color-coded modes and things to try to remember. And same with the filter/comb delay that they released.
The fuck was that?
I don't know. I had one. I can't remember the name.
They
I'm
had
drawing
like
a
the
blank.
triangle on it or something like that. I couldn't
Yeah.
really see it.
Fracture? Was that it?
No, that's the WMD one.
Now I'm going to have to look this up.
Yeah.
Stand by, listeners. It was the Prism.
Prism.
Wow.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. It had some stuff behind the scenes too, which you had to remember the color codes for, and it just kind of annoyed me.
You don't like color codes. I remember that.
Actually, I love color codes. That's how I base my live performances, but having to remember them annoys me.
What was the
Yeah.
make noise thing that you hated because it was phonogene?
Morphogene.
Morphogene.
Oh, God damn it.
It was all color codes.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't just color codes. It was key presses and combos and all this shit. I had like a fuck ton of functionality like hidden behind two buttons. You know?
And
I
it was
just
half
like, fuck
purple, half
this.
yellow, and
Yeah.
that meant something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
That
you
was
said-
the speed/pitch mode, if I recall.
You seem still a little bitter. You look a little angry.
I wanted to love that module.
I
I
know you
still
did.
do. It does things that I have to use other things to try to do. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And it
Right.
would be more convenient to use a Morphogene if I jived with that god-awful interface, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. But I digress.
I didn't mean to bring up something so traumatic.
Yeah.
No, I saw a video of somebody doing something with it the other day in comparison to something else. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I don't want to suffer through that to get there.
Exactly. I mean, I'm glad some people jive with it, but
Yeah. So my list is dwindling at this point. I've got a couple honorable mentions, but nothing I really want to get too deep into. I have the Xaoc.
Xaoc,
Sophia.
Chaos Devices.
Chaos Devices. The Sophia. I don't need it, but it did make some interesting sounds. It is a big old honkin' complex analog oscillator.
Oh,
It's like Odessa,
Oh, yeah.
Odessa size. Kind
Yeah,
of thing.
and it sounds amazing. Like the sounds that they were getting out of, just having a bunch of different modulations, a bunch of these different sort of oscillators. The thing I kept coming back to when I was listening to the demos and their presentation, and it's always sounded musical. It didn't, I'm sure you can make sound wonky and just sort of textury, but everything just felt, all the demos and everything, it felt harmonic all the time. In this way that was sort of appealing. I can't imagine getting it. It's a honking big thing. I'm on board with a lot of what Chaos Devices is doing. And in fact, now that I've got the two Moskvas working in tandem, I'm really interested in taking a deeper dive into that Leibniz binary system that they have.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's a weird beast.
It's very weird. I don't feel like I fully have my head wrapped around it, but
I
they
don't.
keep adding modules to it. Like it started out with, it was just the Dresno, but now it's the Lipsk, the Jena, and the Erfurt. Like they keep adding to this ecosystem, and the Moskva can tie into it and actually generate, the digital binary data that this system uses. So some point in the near future, I really want to dive into that and just kind of figure out what it is and how to take advantage of it. And
Yeah, you should. If anybody's going to figure that out or get into it, it would be you.
it's definitely caught my attention. So, I'm, at some point I may be getting perilously close to a Chaos Devices full fucking system. Like Chaos Devices, if you're out there listening and you need someone to QA your shit, just hit me up.
Give them
I'm
a
on
call.
board. I'm on board. Yeah, I really like what they're doing in this. In the Sophia, I think it seemed like it was if I wasn't already sort of neck deep in oscillators already, I would definitely be checking this out.
I totally forgot they even announced an oscillator. I just remember they announced the two different effects modules.
Yeah.
The one being the frequency shifter that I forget the name of, but it caught my eye at the time when I was, digging through all the Superbooth announcements. Because I like me some frequency shifting.
I know you do.
I have like 16 filters now.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I built like 2 last week.
Oh, nice. The other thing on my list is actually a filter.
Oh, yeah? What
Yeah.
filter?
It's not
I like
super booth.
filters.
It's not. You want a 17th?
Yeah.
This one actually. I feel bad because I have nothing but good things to say about the filter. I'm about to. We'll get through Superbooth first, and then we can go and circle
I
back.
already
on.
want this filter.
But yeah, Sophia, that was something that I don't know. It may be one of those things when it's actually available, it will be difficult for me to resist.
Yeah.
It was making a lot of sounds that were like, ooh, I wish I had made that. Like that area of fucked up but still musical.
Yeah.
I really dug it. So
Time to flip some oscillators, Dave.
Yeah.
What the fuck
Slap this in there.
What am I gonna get rid of? I like all the ones I have.
I don't know. I forget which oscillators you have. A lot of digital ones.
I got the Buchla one. I got the Buchla from Tip Top. I got the quad operator.
Yeah.
Platts.
Yeah.
I can get rid of the graphic VCO. That would make some room.
Get rid of graphic
Piston-
VCO because you got her.
Piston Honda.
I was gonna say you got the piston, so
It's
get
piston
rid of the
Honda.
graphic VCO
Oh, yeah, you could buy another case.
or
And
get
just buy another case. I mean, that's inevitable. Yeah, I should just stop
I'd say
pretending.
dump the Platts, dump the graphic VCO
and get this.
because you already got that digital territory covered with
I
the
do.
other stuff.
Mm.
Yeah.
You need a nice analog Sophia in there.
Yeah.
Sold. You fucking solved this problem.
Going
Feeling
through your
that.
gristleizer.
Yeah.
I can hear it in my head already.
Oh. Well, that just turned on a dime. I went from I may not get it to I'm probably gonna go home and pre-order it. Thanks. Wow.
Success.
I should not have brought that up.
But what filter should I buy?
Well, are we done with Superbooth?
The
You
only
were
other
talking
super
about filter.
boost thing I had was the Polyend Play, which it's kind of like on its own. We don't need to wrap that into Superbooth shit. We can discuss that on its own. So yeah.
All right, you want me to go into this filter? 'Cause
Go into this filter.
Wow, Nick, you're like
I'm going to be
shaking.
like
Nick is
super
excited.
disappointed if you don't talk about it.
So the filter I want to talk about is a filter of crows. It's from Pittsburgh Modular.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, well, Pittsburgh is a city. It's in Pennsylvania, in the United States of America.
They wear this shirt.
It's a shithole.
Don't come here. Rent's too fucking high already.
Get the hell out. Oh, you
The
New
rent is-
Yorkers.
yeah. Any influencers stay out.
Town ain't big
It'd be a
enough.
good t-shirt, just as any influencers stay out.
Wow. I would wear that, yeah.
I know you would.
So this is another one of the experimental modules they did. This is like the new series. It was released alongside the Wolf, which is a preamp / VCA that they released, and the Bat, which is a filter and VCA. Both of them were fine. Neither of them really caught my eye. Filter of Crows, though. It's a combination of the Crows preamp that they released a while ago and then just basically fell off.
Oh, that's
of
what
it.
that was? Preamp?
Yeah.
Oh. even
And
know
what it is it goes up to 75 times gain, but still somehow sounds clean. Like it doesn't just go off the rails. So it has that on and off. You can turn on and off that preamp going in to basically the update of their original filter.
Okay.
And it's multi-mode, and each of the modes, high pass, band pass, and low pass, can be toggled on and off, and it's all processed in parallel. And there's CV for the resonance and the filter cutoff. If that was it, I'd probably be like lukewarm. I probably wouldn't even bring it up. It's something I just bought and didn't even mention. You know, like it would be exciting to get that Crow preamp that was just basically unattainable.
Starring Brandon Lee.
Exactly.
R.I.P.
What blew my mind though is the stability parameter. So when you turn it on, or when you have it in stable mode, it doesn't self oscillate. It's the resonance is stable. When you turn this off, when you basically let it go, it falls apart in the most amazing way possible.
Nice.
It self oscillates, but it's dictated based on the value of the resonance and the filter combination. There are parts of, as you're like sweeping between the resonance, where it stops making sound. It completely the entire circuit just disintegrates. It is
Neat.
wild. And it's all done, like all of this sort of like processing, all of this sort of like what it's doing is all in real time. So as you're sweeping with it, the resonance and the filter cutoff, it's going between these different modes. It's going through all of this stuff. and it responds to CV accordingly.
Kind of reminds me of like a plague bearer.
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. And in fact, there's these spots where it like cuts out. As you're sending CV, you can actually try to send CV to get that effect. And like the little edges, like right before it cuts off, just squeal and squelch. But like nothing ever has that sort of like that Xaoc M resonator is what I always go back to, where it was like, oh, this sounded really cool, but the gain just went up 50 decibels. Everything is still relatively controlled. So even when you have the Crow preamp cranked up to 75x, this weird stability turned off, and it's just going from like dead to squelch to like back to smooth to just like a rumbling, self-oscillating filter. All of it is even keel. Like all of it's still usable. Like it's fucking fantastic. I love it as like, and you can also just like turn off the preamp, turn stability back on, and just use it as their nice old filter. Like it does really simple stuff, but then you can just make it just be this absolutely bonkers machine.
Oh, that's cool.
You're selling me on this.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't heard the demos or anything, but yeah, what you're describing kind of reminds me of what I used to do with like a quad plague bearer setup with CV, going in and out of like the dead zones and bringing it into like squelch territory, and
very similar to
making
that
it just become like just like living creature.
That's very similar. It has that vibe of like, as you're moving between these different states, the circuit's sort of coming alive, and then just can't handle it anymore and just vomits in front of you.
75x gain, you say?
Yes.
And it's like 4 HP or something? It's like small,
it's,
right? 8 or something?
It's 10 maybe.
Oh, okay.
It's the original Crow was 4.
The original was.
This is a little bit bigger, but it's nowhere near as big as the original filter that they had. It does not take up a lot of room.
How much was it?
Like $220, I think.
Okay.
It was not expensive either, and I think it's still available. Unlike those sort of early experiment ones that, they're not available anymore. And it's funny because I went and picked it up from Pittsburgh Modular, and I was talking to.
Oh, so you actually have one now?
Oh yeah, no, I've had.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had it for. Yeah, no, I've had it for. Basically, I think the day it came out. Basically like.
I remember you saying you were going to the shop, and I couldn't remember what it was.
It does look good.
Yeah, and it's organized well, not cramped, but it's not taking up a lot of room. It's a little hard to read, but honestly, it's in res CV, filter cutoff CV, out.
What are these, like filter slope? The little switches?
Oh, little switches are the modes. So you can have high pass
modes, yes.
And then you select which ones are on, and it's all in parallel.
That's cool.
So even doing things like turning the low pass off and just having high pass and band pass and fucking with that just adds just absurd character to just otherwise boring signals. But yeah, I went into there's no reason for them to ship it. They're a couple miles away. And I went in and I was talking to Perry, who's just a great human being.
Yeah, shout out to Perry.
Yeah, seriously. And like showed me around the shop, and he made an offhand comment. I'm like, oh yeah, like I was really excited because the Crow, that original Crow, was going for like absurd prices on Reverb. And he's like, yeah, we just found out about that. Like they hadn't seen that this like the secondary market for their limited. And they're like, that's not why we did this. It was not to create this sort of like boutique artificial scarcity.
Yeah, it doesn't benefit them.
Yeah, they're just like, we just didn't think a lot of people would want it. If more people want it, we'll just make more. Like it was not. I was a little put off by like well, fuck, I'm not paying $900 for a $100 module. Yeah, like I don't know why in my head I was blaming them for the scarcity. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, no, they just didn't know. They didn't know that people were going to want it. And they're like, yeah, if people want more, we'll just make more. Like, which I think is great. If you go to their site now, that's all it is stuff like this. Like their other module line is, they don't have anything else. They're like, I think we even at one point called them like the US Dopefer.
Yeah.
They're not really doing that anymore.
Because I think they probably realized that manufacturing isn't the most fun, and that's why they do all that shit with Create and Audio now. I think they just make designs for Create Audio too, because it's a lot easier to just sell designs than it is to like have to get parts anymore, and like be a manufacturer is a fucking nightmare.
Absolutely.
And what a strange coincidence that, a business called Pittsburgh Modular happened to be in Pittsburgh.
It still bends my mind.
Wow.
I think that really worked out in their favor.
It did, yeah. They even spelled it correctly with the H.
Yeah.
That would have been embarrassing if they spelled it like a normal
Common
bird.
faux pas
Yeah, it is.
from outsiders.
So yeah, honestly, nothing but good things to say. I think I love that it does the simple stuff simple, and is also a bonkers filter on top of that.
I'm into it. I'll have to check this out more.
Yeah. And the other stuff, like I said,
Can it do a 303, Dave?
Wow, wow.
is that was that your 303?
Yeah, it's all through. It's quite right.
It's more like
Wow.
So listeners, write in and tell us who you thought was the better 303. Nick, let's hear yours again.
Wow.
Greg,
That was terrible.
wow.
all right,
all you get.
those are your choices, listeners. And whoever writes us the best essay will get a I don't know, what do we even have?
A free koozie.
Free acid line. Wow, 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 wow. Oh wait, I just gave it away.
A free Andrew Huang beatbox acid line.
Oh,
We'll put his name on it for you.
I mean, that's basically the end of my list. Greg, you said well, Nick, was there anything on your list?
the complete overhaul of mixing and sequencing for me, which I don't have to go into in super depth. But yeah, I do want to talk about the Frap Tools Creative Mixer, whatever the fuck is it called? Frap Tools. I got the quad stereo channel.
Crap tools?
Frap Tools.
I seriously heard crap tools.
Crap Tools.
I heard Fap Tools.
Fap
Tools.
Tools. Different thing.
Wow.
But yeah, I actually, after live set prep, for which played those two sets or tried to play two, and the second one couldn't, sat back in my studio and sat down to like use the modular. And I was like, wow, this Cosmix sounds fucking broken to me. And it was like, I love the Cosmix. I don't know how I didn't notice this. It may actually be broken to some extent. Sorry, person I sold it to already. But even with the drive off, I was just noticing this noise overtone. And for some reason, like I hadn't sat down on my monitors for a while and I was like, unacceptable. Started looking at mixers. Saw the Frap Tools quad stereo channel because I was like, oh, I need all this stereo shit. I quote unquote don't want to pay for a WMD performance mixer, even though I spent exactly that amount to get where I am with the Frap Tools. But I'm not mad at that actually at the end of the day because it doesn't have as many stereo inputs. The WMD has like 8 and then 2 mono or something like that, which is pretty sweet, and VCAs on those. But the Frap Tools has like 4 channels that you get, but it's actually a little more than that because you can get CV on the effects sends, which is cool. You get it on one on each end on the quad stereo channel because of panel space. But then I got the group module that connects to the master module. So with this Frap Tool shit, there's always a channel, a group, and a master. What I didn't figure out at first, because their manual is thorough but really confusing, is that you need a group channel to connect this master module. And I was like, oh, I just want 2 more stereo ins. I want to add another channel. How do I do that? I realized this group does that because it's super flexible. And the group is just like, say, take any of these output channels, like these 4 that I got in this quad stereo channel, and it will sum them all in stereo and let you have another effect send on the group. And that's fully automated. And so you actually can use the effect send out on the quad stereo channel because it's a little mixer, and on this group also. But the one, affects the group itself, and the other one individual channels. But you don't get as much CV. But you get 2 effect sends with mono out stereo returns onto this group channel, which is the thing that saves me 2 channels. Question in the room?
I do have a question. How do you specify a group?
Oh, a group is just a thing that aggregates channels. So it's actually only one type of module you can get, and then you can actually have multiple groups into this master channel. So you can have a total of 128 channels if you want.
Holy shit.
If you buy enough of these things. So I just wanted the quad at first, and that worked, and that had its own master out. Then I was like, oh, just like another to get rid of like somewhere to put my effects returns would be perfect. And that's when I realized the group was out there, but like it was really hard to get. And so I saw somebody on Reverb had both of these modules used in California. This master channel, the older, skinnier one that doesn't have the 1/4 inch outs and just has 1/8, which is totally fine. And then this other group. So I got those two because they were like cheaper and available, and it was the only way to get them. And this shit sounds fucking great. It is the nicest mixer I've ever heard in Xaoc by far. Can't get the thing to fucking crackle in any way. Like it's just sounds fucking dead on. This master output has a headphone output dedicated, which was also attractive to me because I was using like the IntelliGel 7U with the converter, and I'm like, there's no good level control, and it's also the master, and I was like, it would be cool to just have headphone out, and that sounds really cool too. And having 2 CV controlled effect sends with returns has been like fucking mind blower for me. I'm doing all this shit with effects that I wasn't doing before because I have the CV control over the aux outputs. You can CV the returns too and just use those as dedicated. You can say, I don't want to return anything here. I'm just going to use you as a stereo channel. And they have VCAs on them as well. So those are stereo VCAs if you want them to be, because you can control the level of the return coming in and the aux coming out. So it's like really flexible. In this quad stereo channel, each channel has its own VCA input too. So kind of like the WMD performance mixer. You can just, put an oscillator in, stick an envelope in, and like use this to output a sound and have an effect on it. Now, that's not generally how I roll because I want to then like route that through something else. And then you'd have to there's no direct outs on this mixer, which is fine by me. But like, it's doing exactly what I wanted as far as getting the mix together. The mute buttons are located like in the perfect spot. It's like right below the knob, and you look at it and you're like, oh, that's kind of dumb. And then you use it and you're like, oh, but it's the fucking perfect spot. It's like right there. There's nothing that can get in the way of it. I think you mentioned it too. Like that Frap Tools shit, it looks confusing as fuck when you see it on the website. I was like,
what is this?
It's colorful.
I didn't even know it was a mixer.
There are lines going everywhere.
It looks like a maths.
Not clear. Yeah. No, if you look, they have like a maths called the phallustry or something like that. And it's like crazy. It looks intimidating. But like this is one thing where you sit down in 5 minutes. It's like, oh, this is just 2 effect sends in a fucking pan. The cool thing is you've got stereo channels. There's a switch so you can change it from pan to crossfade. So you can use those stereo channels as 2 mono inputs. So you can crossfade an oscillator, or you can just have 2 mono inputs, especially if you don't need the VCA. Yeah. And that's when I realized like, oh shit, this is like a very flexible fucking mixer because of the way they have it set up.
I like voltage controlled faders.
Yeah, voltage controlled faders, voltage controlled effects.
How's the CV work? Is it like -5 to +5?
I think it's, oh God, I don't remember. I think it's bipolar +5. I think that's what it is.
As it should be.
Yeah, no, it definitely didn't.
I suppose.
I didn't have to rectify anything to get it to like work properly or anything like that. Sounds fantastic, as I said. That was the thing that was most impressive. Like so far, like even in my IntelliGel 7U on the output, I've got to like move it back and forth a few times before I play so I can get it to not crackle. And like my Cosmix wasn't too bad, but other mixers that I've had have been like really crackly and shitty. Like that Bafaco ST mix, those are garbage. Those pots are garbage on those. They just don't work. All of them are fucked up. But this was like perfect. It's actually kind of a small size. Actually, in the end, I didn't need the master out that has the headphone. Yeah. I like the headphone, but that's the part that I could kind of skip because the other ones have stereo outs anyway. It's like another level control. Oh, the master gives you another stereo input, but it's on like an 1/8 inch stereo. It's just like this thing like, oh, if you want in live, I would just run my rhythm into that. Yeah. Because it's got its own level control. So it kind of hit like all the boxes on what I was looking for from mixing.
Mm-hmm. Does it have like a meter, like a visual indicator?
It's got a beautiful meter on the master one, but it's also got meters on the stereo outs of the group and the quad stereo channel. And it's got meter LEDs on the VCAs and meter LEDs on the, what other out? The aux outs. So it's actually the one module I've used where it's like, oh, I actually know where all my levels are and I know where to change them. I'm like, oh, that VCA is too hot. Like this is like, it's been really nice.
Because normally you just get like maybe an LED that's the brightness of the LED to give you an indicator. And you have to use your outboard mixer to figure out what the actual level was if it was too hot. Like
no, this is like they nailed that in this regard. So it's cool. And like it all chains together with like IDE cables behind it, like power cables. So it's pretty slick the way they did it. I'm impressed. I don't want any more of it. I could see adding another single stereo channel that they make if I need that. Not interested in anything else they make. The Brenzo, which is the dual oscillator they make, looks really cool, but it's huge. And it's apparently awesome. And it turns out like some people would just like love their gear cult style. Like this is like the new Buchla. Like a few people I've seen, like that ear drill dude, CBM on Mod Wiggler, has said like, yeah, I love this stuff just as much as Buchla, and he's got a bunch of it.
I've always been really into the demos I've heard of their Spectral processor that I can't.
Oh, the Fumana.
That
yeah.
Want one really
Looks
bad.
amazing.
Always have, but yeah,
it's like $900.
Yeah,
Dude, it's not
expensive.
cheap. The Sputnik was cheaper and kind of scratches that itch for me, but the Fumana looks fucking cool.
It does.
Like all this shit, I bet sounds amazing. Based on how this mixer is, I bet everything they make sounds fucking great. Yeah, and it's got this beautiful kind of like shitty, almost purple color panel, and I really like it.
Very nice.
I like kind of shitty purple mixers. Well, they're really good mixers that have like a kind of shitty purple. But I got rid of the vortices also.
Yeah.
Because after that, it was just like, okay, this is way too much mixing.
Yeah.
Like it just seemed ridiculous. And I just never use it.
Yeah. The vortices, I still have.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm kind of falling out of favor with it, though.
You have the OG, right? Not
the OG, yeah. Not the hi-fi. It's still the lo-fi. But like the amount of sends and ins and outs that it has always been good to me. And like you're saying, like, there's so many shitty sounding mixers out there. Or ones that just crackle or do strange things or have strange noise floors. The Vortices has always been pretty solid for me. It's just the fact that like it's my only mixer currently, and everything you put into it kind of it gives that lo-fi flavor, which I don't always want.
That was my gripe too.
And also, I've never had any need to lower the volume of the inputs on that thing.
Right.
Like you kind of want it to be at max volume because that's when it sounds the best.
Yeah.
But you kind of need like a mixer after that.
I ran into that too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like I always have it cranked up and I'm like, okay, that's where these channels sound best, but now I need to lower the overall volume. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not a good standalone mixer. It like needs to be used with other mixers.
It still just drives me nuts too that the different mono and the stereo mixer levels are different types of knobs, but it uses the other knob for the pan, and it's just like
I color coded mine. So that's
smart.
I did the same on the Cosmics too, because I kept running into that with the Cosmics.
I put the trimmer toppers on the aux sends on the Cosmics.
Yep.
Good luck to the person getting those off if you want to. It's impossible. It's like two pieces of plastic.
You really fucked this person.
Dude,
it's broke. You gave him these fucked up knobs. Did you shit in it too?
I shipped it to them on time before they left the country, and they gave me 5 stars feedback.
Wow. You can't take that back.
Can't take back 5 stars feedback on Reverb.
No takesies backsies.
No, it was fine. I was probably being really anal and picky. Like,
no, the Cosmics is noisy.
It is. I don't know how I didn't really hear it before. I think I was just trying to do something clean for once, and I was like, honestly, are you kidding me?
I was actually surprised that you liked it as much when you got it. Because like I got it and I noticed it was noisy, but I was using it more or less like a stereo mixing distortion effects, not so much as just a standard mixer. And I was like surprised to hear that like you were okay with it. I was like, well, okay, maybe he's making some grimy stuff. But there's definitely, it's hard to get around sort of like the Vortices, like it's an effects mixer. You know what I mean? It is not, in my opinion at least,
it's adding character.
Cosmics is not Cosmics is not meant to be an end all be all like mixer. It's got a distinct flavor. It's got its quirks and some noise to it, and a lot of that is intentional. You know what I mean? Cranking the saturation on the channels and the masters and stuff. But yeah, even with the master distortion off, there can still be some. Yeah, some
that was what killed it for me. It's like, okay, I just need to turn the drive off. But there was the thing, I got it, and it was the first mixer I had that like nailed it feature-wise. I was like, oh, this is like everything I want, kind of. And then I liked the master output saturation a lot.
Absolutely.
And I'll miss that, actually. I would like to buy that just as a stereo processor with just those 2 sliders.
100%. I agree.
And that would actually satisfy it for me, because that's usually sounded really good, especially live. That sounded good.
I miss mine as well. I swapped it out for the vortices because I didn't have enough rack space this time for like, 2 mixers, but I wanted more stereo sends and stuff like that. I was like, well, I think the Cosmic's got to go. Gonna go with the vortices, but now I kind of wish I had both. But
the Frap Tools is like pretty much close to like the nicest mixer I've ever heard. Period.
Yeah.
Just as far as how.
did you feedback that shit yet? No input.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, like I noticed because it does some like cancellation kind of or something with feedback. Because I was just feeding, typical like I'll take the aux send and feed it back to itself kind of thing. And it would like cancel, and I was like,
Just
oh,
like
that's
some
weird.
phase cancellation.
Yeah, I think so. I feel that like I made a note to like go back to that, but at that point I was just working on a thing. Yeah, saturates nicely when you drive it too. Like good shit.
Wow.
Yeah, they killed it.
Is this difficult to find?
The quad stereo channel is easy to find, and actually, I would say that that's the only one you really need. They designed it so that was standalone, and I think that was smart because really, that's the only like. It's nice to have the other stereo shit, and I love the ability to do the CV controlled sends on everything on that bus or that grouping of everything. But I could get rid of those two and still be just as happy. Really.
Gotcha. It's very intriguing.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Greg, is there something? Greg, is there something you wanted to talk about? Greg,
That's me.
Greg,
That's
is there,
me.
Is there something you wanted to talk
That's
about?
me.
That is you.
I did want to mention the Polyend play
What about it?
because at first I was very indifferent to it.
Same here.
I don't. I'm gonna call bullshit. I'm pulling a card.
Pull a card.
You were not just indifferent.
I was shit talking.
Yeah, you gave it some shit.
I was
I think we all did.
We all were.
I think we all
I was
did.
downplaying my.
Your true feelings. So what changed your mind? Because I have not really revisited this.
In all honesty, influencers.
Oh my God, was it Andrew Huang?
It was not. It was Ben Jordan.
I do love Ben Jordan.
He posted a cool little artistic creative video. He did a cross-country drive. He had to go to a meeting on the West Coast. He drove from like Florida, California, and back. And he decided he was just going to bring the Polyend play, which he got, to demo.
Just it and no like synth or anything outside
just
of it?
The Polyend
just the play.
Just the play.
That's bold.
And he was doing field recording to get his sample material, like at stops that he made along the way. I don't think he ever specified if he recorded it into the play. I don't remember if the play has recording capabilities or a microphone or anything. I'm going to assume he used like a field recorder and then just jumped it in there.
I think so.
But either way, like that, that was his only piece of gear that he took with him. And when the video, when he first started it, I was still skeptical of the play and I was still skeptical of this video. I'm like, okay, whatever. This is just him shilling for this piece of gear. I
will step in and say we've seen him do that in the past.
Yeah.
With that Empress.
Yes.
That was the thing that I was like, ooh, this is painful to watch.
Yeah,
him like going out in the desert.
Hard. Yeah.
And he was out in the desert and it was just
I hated that video.
Yeah, that was
it was just like such a blatant
painful
attempt of trying to turn a product that was kind of boring into, I don't know,
dramatic and spiritual.
And he does the same with this one, but he sold me on it this time around.
Right.
So he learned the mistakes from the previous
one. He got me
one.
visually for sure. Like he went to like abandoned malls and like oil drills in the middle of the desert field, like the type of visuals that like I like to see, especially on road trips. And he went there and he just like recorded sounds and then made some like lo-fi IDM-ish beats using the sounds and with the stuff within the play. And I was like, this is kind of cool. I can see the usefulness of this, in this application being like a stripped down, piece of gear. But at the same time, I was like, I still don't need another groove box, especially one that looks like a monome on crack or some mutant variation of the tracker, which I already very much like. So I'm like, why do I need a play if I like the tracker? But he started to show off later in the video when he got past the artistic visual stuff, a more slightly technical overview and showed off that it has a lot of like generative functions and some of the magic that the tracker has and more when it comes to generating sequences or events or probability and things like that. And I was like, okay, now you're getting me here. Like, the play won't be out for months and months.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So they're just like, for some reason, Polyend is like all gas, no brakes with the marketing hype right now.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
weird.
yeah, and it's weird to see so many influencers get this thing and like hyping it up so far in advance, and
Yeah.
you know, it kind of turned me off to it a bit too. But like, yeah, the Ben Jordan video broke through that aversion that I had, got me to pay attention to it. So then I watched some of the other videos, Lou Pops and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, nah, this thing is. I'm starting to see the usefulness of it for sure. And
So when you're saying generative, like where is it? Is it generating in sequences? Is it in generation
Yes.
modulation? Like where are you getting that sort of
with sequencing and probability
okay.
and micro steps, stutters, things like that. It can do some of the events that you can do in the tracker, like
Right.
some of the effects events with like, stutter steps and fade in, fade outs, those type of things. And things that are fucking tedious to do in a DAW, things that
Oh,
are
yeah.
tedious to do or impossible to do on a lot of your vanilla sequencers, you know what I mean? Which is one of the things that made the tracker stand out to me.
Right, but a lot of that stuff in the tracker can be then sent out as MIDI.
Which it can in this as well.
So then what, again, going back to your original point,
Why do I want this over a tracker?
I mean, you kind of stepped on my question, but yeah, that's exactly my question.
Mainly because you're not hard stuck into the vertical tracking style of sequencing, which
You know you can turn that sideways, right?
yes,
Okay,
which
just make
is
sure.
weird to me. But no,
I
it
didn't
gives
like it
you
either.
a nice like easy interface that you can punch things into on
Gotcha.
the side. Like you have all your presets and stuff on the right. With I think it's the last 4 of the buttons
Mhm.
on that
Yeah.
grid, and then beside that, you got your step sequences. It's more visual where you can see everything
Yeah.
all at once. I don't know. It's definitely like XOX style, which is done to death, but it seems like they added some interesting aspects to it. Kind of like what you see in like a Deluge.
Yeah, that's what it was.
or things,
so-
you know what I
yeah.
mean? So it seems like it's a mix of like a tracker and a Deluge, and
That is exciting.
even like
'cause-
some of the 707 thing. You know what
yeah,
mean?
I mean that's
It's-
really exciting because I still use the shit out of my Deluge, and I love it to death. And I use a lot of those sort of things, especially with live, because it adds a little bit of variety that is difficult to do.
And you
on the
can
fly.
record, like do field recording with a Deluge, correct?
You can resample, and you can do looping, and you can just record live into it.
I'm curious if that's what he did. Maybe he mentioned that and I missed it, but yeah, like his use of like the found sound in his little demo. I'm curious if he was able to record that right into the play. If so, then yeah, I think that would
That'd be amazing.
blur the lines even more between that and a Deluge.
Yeah,
Even some of the generative shit that was like well beyond what the tracker could
It is.
do.
It's
Not even
doing
really
some
present on
weird,
there.
like AI shit,
Mhm.
and I'm like, okay. At first, it seemed like a gimmick to me, and like, I like generative things, but not when it does it all for
Right,
me.
same
You know what I
here.
mean? I like
Yeah,
coming
that's
up
the
with
same thing.
complex chains of generative
I
events.
want control over
but-
what
exactly.
it's going to end up doing. Even if I'm not controlling each piece, I want to set it in motion.
Sure.
That's the thing.
And it seemed to me like this might let you do that.
That's cool.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you can control the level of generative stuff that you want to do with each track.
Now, are they going to go down the Electron path of like not including that in the tracker so that it can be exclusive to play?
I don't know. That's
Because
a
that
good
would be
question.
really rad if I could get that in my tracker.
Well, that's what brings me back to my initial aversion to this whole device in the first place, was that, like, again, as a fan of the tracker, I was not expecting Polyend to be announcing a whole new device. I was expecting them to announce tracker version 2. And I wanted to see things like, more generative things like that.
Mhm.
I wanted to see
Stereo.
sample processing. I wanted to see, there was another big one like a drum engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd
Which,
be awesome.
unfortunately, I still don't think the Play has. I think this is strictly samples, which is
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of like,
as far as I know.
that's, as far as I can tell too. Yeah, it has no drum engine, like no,
It still doesn't seem that different from tracker. I get like
it doesn't.
I keep coming back to like this doesn't scream necessary
Well,
to
it's
me.
more like button grid driven, you know?
It's
I
a
think that's-
different path to the same
different-
result.
yeah.
Gotcha,
Basically,
okay,
from what I
yeah.
can tell. Yeah, or something that would accommodate a tracker.
Or maybe it is for like people that are like, I just didn't grok the tracker vertical scrolling thing.
Sure.
They want to get.
I had that discussion with my cousin
Yeah.
because he has a tracker. I convinced him to get because he was turned off by the whole tracker, vertical sequencing thing at first too. He's a very hip hop dude, you know what I mean? And he is trying to program a lot of hip hop stuff on it, and he does he's a drummer, so he's into finger drumming also, and he says it's like near impossible for him to do certain things on those tiny ass buttons on the tracker.
Sure, yeah.
But he said the play seems to really catch his attention for that. He says it seems to be like all the stuff that he likes in a tracker, but on a much more drummer friendly interface. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I don't do finger drumming, so I don't give a shit about that.
Me neither.
But the fact that you still can only manipulate mono samples is kind of a deal breaker for me, and the fact that there's no drum engine kind of blows my mind still, because there's other competing trackers out there like the M8 and things like that have an FM drum engine, and it's like I kind of hate being stuck to just doing samples. So I don't know, the play has my attention, but I hope that between now and when it comes out that they offer the ability to drop stereo files in there. And release like an FM drum machine of some sort.
The other thing too is I don't really like the tracker effects. I think they're kind of shit.
Like the actual audio effects?
Yeah, the actual audio effects.
I think the reverb is okay.
I think it's shit. I would love to see a revamp of a lot of those audio effects on the tracker.
But I do love shitty reverbs though.
Yeah.
So
It's the Clouds reverb, isn't it?
I think it is inspired by Oliverb. Yeah,
inspired by, but I think it's. I honestly, I think it sounds like shit. I would love to see like more options.
Well, Oliverb sounds like shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
like
it has its charm.
Yeah,
that's fair. I don't find it charming. I would. That's something I would like to see is an improvement and a wider variety of effects.
Yeah,
and really taking those.
Well, that too. That's something that I was really hoping for a tracker too.
Yeah,
that would have that type of thing. You know what I mean? Just like everything that the tracker currently lacks on, or missing, or
because they're up to 1.5 of the firmware. I mean, they're doing work on that original hardware, and each version has a pretty big amount of changes.
More effects in there, better effects, and a fucking FM drum machine into the tracker. That thing would be the ultimate. Yeah. Same with the play. You know what I mean? Like I think that would really sell me if they started adding those types of things to it. But I'm not nearly as adverse to it as I was at the beginning. I can kind of see its usefulness now.
Yeah, for drum programming, I think
strictly drum programming.
Yeah, strictly. I'm really appreciating things with a little more focus lately that don't do everything in the world. So I can see that, especially as compared to somebody who just tried to use the MC707 and that whole thing, which did everything poorly. I'm appreciating things that do at least a couple things well.